To the first episode of SorareData Office Hours. I am Andrew Laird, head of content here at SorareData, joined by Maxime Hagenbourger, our founder. And do you have another corporate title, or is it just founder?
I mean, give me one. I mean,
Yeah.
I can be anything.
Data Daddy, I believe, is the one that John Nellis came up with. Doesn't seem like a
Yeah.
great one for a business card, but sometimes you just got to play the hand you're dealt. But anyway, Maxime, we've been talking about doing kind of a regular show for a while, and this
Yeah.
seemed like a good opportunity to do it. Just kind of open questions for certain people, or as I was mentioning to you before, a feature request list that we will ultimately just ignore. Just kidding. Kind of kidding.
No, don't get it.
I will say, before we even get into anything, that I, at least, because I don't actually do the work to either design or build these things, I do appreciate people who come to me with like feature requests. But I will say that most of the ones that, at least that I find reasonable, we've already thought of. And so like the list of things that we want to do or that we know should get done is not short. There are not that many of us. And some of this stuff is like very complicated. But I promise you that a lot of the brilliant ideas you guys have, there were already brilliant people at SorareData who came up with them.
Yeah, but sometime we didn't think about it or didn't prioritize it. So also it's a good way to prioritize stuff if we see like similar feedbacks from different
Absolutely.
persons.
So keep those coming.
And yeah, Andrew, just do you know the sandwich theory, or I don't know if it's the word in English, but I learned in my professional career that if you write an email with, let's say, constructive criticism inside, you should start your email by saying, "Yeah, that's great work, I love it." Then you put your criticism, and then you end up with like, "But I love what you guys are doing, keep building," or stuff like that, something nice. And so you have a sandwich of nice things with some constructive feedback inside, and that's always a good way to provide feedback. So it's always like, I know that Erwan is dealing with support matters, and he receives a lot of feedback and support requests and stuff like that, and most of them are really nice people, and people just like trying to make the product better, and so we appreciate all of that. But a nice tip to have that coming into our inbox is that not a shit sandwich like Raymond just said, but yeah, I mean, if you word it nicely, you have better chances to see it implemented really soon.
I feel like that's something that we have talked about before. Less like an easy way to butter us up, but just being nicer to other people is an easier way to get what you want.
Yeah.
Like it's as simple as that. So yeah, I didn't think that's where we were starting the show. Please be nice, but that's all. Please be nice. And while you're all being nice, if you could please hit the like button on the video. Somebody mentioned it in chat already. Please do that. Who was it? Mike Basson, of course. Always reminding the good people to hit the like button. Thank you, those who have joined us live. Quinny's here too. So sorry, what were you saying?
It's not like, of course, it applies to our context, but it's a great tip for any kind of request that you have to make, like professionally or even personally. Like, I loved when yesterday you threw out the garbage, but can you do the dishes? That I love when you do the dishes. That's something that you could do at home. And yeah, I mean, you can try on your kids tonight.
Yeah, you guys thought you were coming for some sort of SorareData insights. It's really just life lessons here that we're here for. And so hopefully we can help everyone make their life a little better. You thought, yeah, the SorareData membership goes far beyond Sorare. So anyway, Andy's suggesting we change this to a happy hour and take shots every 10 minutes, which feels very aggressive given that it's 10 o'clock in the morning for me. But
For me too.
Maybe, yeah, we'll see. My boss is here, so if you can convince him, then all for the content. I'm going to start off, as we were just saying, trying to be positive. Let me see if I can do this correctly. Maxime, you were on a French stream the other day, which was a great listen, even though I don't speak French. And I just had a quick question about it because from what I gathered from some feedback on Twitter, it sounded like you were a little negative about something. And given that I don't speak French, I have no idea what you were being negative about. But then you replied, thank you to Twitter for the translate button that disappeared and is back now. But you said you weren't being negative about it. But given that I think your opinion holds some weight with others in the community, what's the deal? What's going on?
So, so it was like I don't know, 1 hour, 30 minutes long discussion. So obviously, I say a lot of things. That's always relevant things. But anyway, the tweet was like 45 minutes in, and I feel like the negativity was more in the beginning of my intervention, let's say. But yeah, I mean, I'm not more negative than I feel like most of the community is. So I don't feel like I brought more to the table. Also, I brought like, I think like the main points of my discussion was like, what can we do as a community to kind of solve the current situation or help with it? And also like try to give a little bit more context about like Sorare and the whole picture, because like as a community, it's really like easy to see like short-term decisions and like short-term stuff, like our gallery valuations are dropping and stuff like that. And so I tried to give a bit more context like about like, for example, the NBA, the MLB deals. And I think like it's really interesting to try to put them to put yourself in their position and see what you could do if you were them. But I guess like what I said on Twitter is, and I didn't say it on stream, and that's maybe something I should have said, is like, I still strongly believe, and more than ever, really, that the NFT fantasy sports market is going to be huge and is in every way better than any kind of like sports betting or DFS stuff that we've seen. And so that's why I'm not like worried at all. Also, I've talked about like SorareData memberships numbers. Like we didn't see like a drop in our subscriptions. In the contrary, we've seen like growing numbers for our membership. So I'm not worried about our business. I'm not worried about like Sorare as a whole. I just think like it's coming down to the execution, like how Sorare is going to make the right decisions in the coming weeks and coming months to make sure that they build a sustainable game. And some things I brought up yesterday was also like unpopular opinions, because I think like they're giving away too many rewards right now. And I feel like Tuesdays and Fridays feel like, jackpot days for some of the players. And I feel like the market dropping is also related to the fact that they're kind of maxing out the number of rewards they can give. And we'll come to a situation probably in the end of the season where they have distributed all the rewards that are available. And that's not something I feel like is healthy for the market, because if you have too many rewards and not a lot of cards being sold, at the end of the day, it's less revenue for Sorare, so not a good thing overall. And like you have a problem with your supply, and like too many people want to sell cards, and not a lot of people want to buy them. So I mean, a lot of things, and I'm ready to discuss it, and I can repeat stuff in English. I like discussing Sorare as a whole. But I guess like the main point is I'm looking right now. The main thing I'm looking at is what they are doing, like how they are executing stuff. And I feel like as a community, we need to step up. And I proposed yesterday they kind of organize, unionize, and like kind of like you know, there were Sorare ambassadors at some point in time, but I feel like it was like badly shaped because like some people were frustrated that some people were like put forward, and like some people felt like they didn't deserve that honor and stuff like that. But I feel like having like some kind of a group of like 10 to 15 players from different backgrounds, from different perspectives, like where's small gallery owners, etc., would be very helpful for Sorare, because I feel like it's very complicated for them to organize feedback. You have social media, you have Discord servers, you have Reddit, you have blah blah blah, you have like people talking in your ears, and I feel like the more we get like constructive feedback and organized constructive feedback, the more it can profit to the game and to the product overall. So that's one of the things I was mentioning yesterday. But I guess like main point is we keep building on Sorare. I'm not firing anyone. We have like we have a strong faith in the model, and yeah, in the space in general. And so I feel like everyone has its say on how they are executing, and we should be like looking at that and only that, and not like speculating on other stuff.
So it reminded me of a podcast that Nellis did with Shriram, and I don't remember Shriram's last name. He's like Rivaldo 2000. There might be another number in there on Sorare. But he is basically, I think he sees himself as a venture capitalist. He invested in Sorare. And he was saying that one of the big differences between like the investors of Sorare and the Sorare players is that we're so concerned with what happened. Like we as players are so concerned what happens like day to day. Like we're on the site and everything, like we're on it. All we're doing is thinking about Sorare. And so like any little, German saying Krishna, yeah, Shrim Krishna. So we're hyper focused on any little change. And when that little change comes, it's either like, oh, they made this change, but they should really do this, or this is really only 10% of what they need to do. And we like, because we're so mentally invested in it, we see it all the time. And he said from the investor standpoint, they kind of only look at the big things and they're not looking at it every day. And so it's like, they say, what did you do in the last 6 months? Which in itself isn't really that much time. And the list is really long. But because we see it every day, we're like, oh, well, you haven't done anything. But like the game itself right now is really different than it was during the World Cup, just before the World Cup last summer. And so I think not that there's a disconnect, but I think because we're so focused every day on it, that we kind of forget, as soon as one other thing comes up, we kind of forget what the last one was, whether it was good or bad. Oh, let me rephrase. If it was good, we move on quickly. If it was bad, then we'll harp on that forever. But I do think that a lot of the recent things that people are getting hung up on, and I want to say it started last summer when they changed the scoring matrix. Was that last summer? It was, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So end of August. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they announced it in July, or maybe it was a little, whatever it was. I just remember that everyone was like, this isn't enough time. Like you didn't give us enough time. And that was where I started to think that it's really difficult to run this game without playing the game or knowing how people play the game. And it feels like since then, a lot of the decisions that get made feel like it's done by people who don't go through everything that we go through every day. And I've talked to a few people about this, about whether I can't remember if it was Ryan Spoon or somebody else was mentioning how they had like internal games that they run. And it just, that's not a way, like, I don't think you can replicate the Sorare experience with like a off-site pretend game. Like there's a lot of people put a lot of money involved, whether it's $5 or $500,000. And decisions from that, like as much as we don't want to like focus on the money, decisions from that affect how we respond to things. And this idea of like a focus group or the ambassadors has never felt more needed than now. And I just hope that they figure out a way to get like feedback from more users that represent different stages in their Sorare journeys, and that those users can effectively communicate what they feel like the problems are, instead of just being like, we need more, I want to win more, my cards should be worth more. Like, that's not constructive. And so I mean, I know plenty of people who would like sign up for being in this group right away. But it's just a matter of like making sure that the things that we think are important are actually heard.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I agree. Like, sometimes, like, we are too focused on the little things and the little changes and the stuff that is happening on a short period of time. But I feel like I would kind of disagree on the fact that I don't feel like they have done so much in a year, especially when you look at MLB, NBA. I feel like NBA could have been like way more creative, way more risk taking, like in terms of like game formats and stuff like that. And I feel like the main problem I have today with the game is how unpredictable they are with execution. And I feel like the one thing I said yesterday is, in this game, the only thing the game owner, or I don't know, the game master has to do is to fulfill his commitment, or his commitments. Like, when they say something, they have to do it. Like, I mean, if they don't, it's like a massive, like, it's like, remember when they announced like a dynamic reward system, and they said like sometimes you could upgrade your rewards like on a random stuff, like, never happened. Like,
Oh,
when
wasn't there also one that
you
if you didn't qualify for a reward, like you didn't
yeah,
win one, and then they would pick?
never
Yeah.
happened. Never happened. So NBA, there have been mixed up mix-ups, sorry, with like some divisions not being opened, and I don't feel like it's so difficult to repair that mistake. Like, if you didn't open the right division, just open it, right? Like, I mean, if you have more divisions open, that's on you. I mean, that's your fault, and just take accountability for that, and just open the divisions that you plan to open and that you announced you were going to open. Because I feel like it's just losing credibility all over again. Like, every time you're not doing something right, and it's not like or the UX is not good or the UI is not good. I don't really care about that. I mean, what I care about is when they announce something, they have to deliver. And if they don't announce anything, that's fine. I mean, I'm okay with that. But it's like people are losing trust, and the game becomes more and more unpredictable because of that. And so I feel like, yeah, that's the main issue I have, and I feel like it's kind of like easily fixable, right? I mean, it's just making sure that you have the right process, the right internal processes, that when you commit on something that you're announcing on social media or whatever, that you're going to stick with that, and that's it. And then you can focus on like improving your UI UX or whatever, and then adding new features and stuff like that. But I feel like it's 101. Do what you said you you do, and I feel we're not already there.
I think that's a really good point, and one that we talked about on the strategy show maybe a few weeks ago when you were on, that when you described having Dan do the weatherman announcements, that like a video and that like a random Twitter, Discord message, or now they're putting them on the site themselves, although you have to like know where to go if you have too many other notifications. But the MLB one was particularly frustrating because like I've had people, like plenty of people, message me about like when MLB is starting, when the new cards, and like they know I don't work at Sorare, but it's, you know, we obviously are pretty dependent on Sorare, so I get asking, but like So there was the announcement that they were gonna. So there was an announcement that they were gonna have an announcement, and then they changed that to nothing. To basically like we're gonna do it later. Like the announcement was we have an announcement on Monday, and then they changed it to we're gonna have an announcement soon, and then I think the announcement is now gone from Discord. But like we're like 3 weeks away from the start of baseball, and I think from the football side, like we're used to new cards coming out after the season starts, but people who came just for baseball don't have that experience because the season was half over when they originally launched. And I do think that the silence on MLB is, it's not worrying in the sense that like, in the sense of worry, but it makes people frustrated that like there are people who are ready to play baseball, and you can't start playing the game the day that the season starts. Like that's not how this game works. Like you have to be ready for the first day, and they're not.
Yeah, and no, but so to me, what's worrying is that I mean it's worrying in so many ways, because to me, if you're not ready to announce anything, that means that you're not certain of your plans, and that means that you're not developing them, or if you are not developing them totally. You're not like testing them, or maybe you're testing them but you're not sure. I mean, spring training is a great way to test things and stuff like that internally, or I don't know, you can do replays and stuff like that. So I feel like you had like 6 months to focus on, or not maybe 6 months, but like 5 months to like focus on like what your plans should be for MLB, and not being able to announce them March 1st or March 6th or whatever is kind of like, I'd like to be wrong, but like it's surprising, and I feel like we're going to get a rushed version of it, and I'm not enjoying that, and I'm very excited for baseball, but like, for example, we internally need to decide what we do on baseball, right? And we had a meeting planned for Tuesday, because we thought like on Monday we would get the announcement and stuff like that. And so we had to cancel that. And the fact that they are not announcing anything makes us not wanting to do anything. I'm not willing to invest anyone's time on baseball right now because I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not even sure they're going to change massively stuff. And so we have to decide on our side, is it worth the time, like investing, like, or should we do basketball instead, or should we do football, or I don't know what. But like it's also a problem for us, because like if we don't know, if we can't assess what we should do, well, but in April we won't be ready for whatever's coming.
Yeah,
so like, I get, and like in terms of like, if you want to your market to like kind of like start again and stuff like that, like why not like releasing new auctions, like even if it's year one editions and stuff like that, like kind of like ramping up the hype and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm kind of like, to be honest, I'm disappointed that we don't have like the full info yet. And like
so
we like really, one thing I want to like be clear on is like we don't have any info on our side too. Like I mean, we didn't get like any kind of information whatsoever regarding MLB.
So that's what I wanted to like touch on, because a few people have reached out to me about like SorareData MLB stuff, like what tools we're going to have, what content we're going to have. And just like you said, we had a meeting scheduled for yesterday to discuss the announcement on Monday, and it didn't happen. And so obviously the longer that Sorare take to announce whatever's happening, it's going to take us longer, because we don't have any inside information. Like they don't tell us beforehand exactly what the plan is, so that when it happens, we're ready. Like we're kind of at their mercy. And my biggest fear is that the announcement is everything is the same as last year, because if that was the announcement, then we could have just you could have announced that in November.
No, so I think like the positive thing, like in terms of like, I think if you're a player, I think like it's kind of like a good thing they're not announcing anything yet, because it feels like they are working on it and they're going to probably announce changes. So I don't think it's like negative, all negative. But I feel like for us, it's a bit like frustrating because we can't work on it. Um, and like at the end of the day, Sorare also needs us to like provide tools, or either it's us or someone else. I don't really care. I mean, the ecosystem has to like start producing content on baseball, and like if you want it to be successful for season 2, I feel like you have to be like really sharp on what your gameplay will look like and how your cards will look like. And so to me, like season 2 of baseball is like you're not getting like the same like kindness from the community, because you had season 1 to prepare and now you had the off season to prepare. So now season 2, it's when it's going to be like the tipping point for me for baseball on Sorare, like this season. And so they have to get it right.
The topic of baseball and a little basketball, this question from Aaron Borland I'm going to bring up about the possibility of changing the SorareData default view from football to other sports. Aaron, I know, is into NBA for sure and MLB, not as much into football. Can we do that?
No. So yeah, the question is valid and it's relevant. And no, so obviously the thing is that our user base is mainly football today, so that's why it's the default view. But obviously we have plans to change that. And if you don't care about football, like display only basketball auctions, for example, or offers and stuff like that. Any kind of like context where you have to select a sport, you will have the ability to select which sport you want to default to. So definitely something that we will do. I wouldn't say when, but at least for next season, next NBA season, that's something we'll do.
And another one here, which was a little earlier, but Andy's curious about SorareData coins and when we're going to open the SorareData club shop.
So nothing planned on that. But on the club shop thing from Sorare, I feel like, again, I've talked about it with you previously. I feel like getting some kind of soft currency to win stuff when you're not actually winning cards is a great idea. And I feel like it's really exciting to have that. Obviously, the launch wasn't what we expected, but let's take a few weeks to see what they're going to add to the club shop. And then we have to decide, because SorareData memberships will be available on the club shop. We'll have to decide on the pricing, and we'll have to decide also on the eligibility, because I don't think like existing subscribers will be able to redeem memberships on Sorare's club shop. But you never know. But we're going, at the beginning, at least, we're going to be mainly targeting new subscribers, new members.
What were you expecting from the club shop?
Yeah, I guess like more diversity in terms of like banners and logos and stuff like that. Even like let me buy for, I don't know, coins. Let me buy the ability to change my banner and have it like my way. Like even if I have to pay like a crazy lot of coins for that, I don't really care. Obviously, you have to rely on the fact that, on the belief that people won't do bad stuff with it. But anyway, I feel like we're kind of like grown up people, so that should be okay. So yeah, kind of like more diversity in terms of like badges, logos, banners, stuff like that. But I guess that will come. And I guess like some kind of like community bridge. Like I know like a lot of people love Sorare and are kind of like designers and as like their professional career. And I feel like it could have been like a great way to like showcase the work of some people. But other than that, I'm like waiting to see the pricing for tickets, jerseys, and stuff like that. Also, all the mechanisms about um, Sean, for example, is getting a lot of coins every week, and I don't want Sean to be stealing my tickets to an out game. And because he is able to buy them, I think he will. So I'm looking at cooldown mechanisms to make sure that coin whales don't get everything. And also I'm expecting a lot of fun stuff in terms of like XP boosts and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to change a bit how we're going to play the game, I feel. So it's kind of exciting. I feel like it's something that is really that we needed, and I feel like it's a great change.
Do you think, I like this question here from a different Andy that says, I know Sorare coins are not available for NBA and MLB yet, but I think it would be amazing if we have one wallet, like a regular wallet, and we can redeem them in any club shop, which I think is kind of a cool idea.
So
Like
Andrew,
our
it's a good time
are the same. So
yeah, that's correct. So it's a great time also to say that they are not called So coins; they are called Sorare coins or
Sorare
coins.
coins.
So we are going to refer to them as Sorare coins. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you're playing League of Legends, for example, you have a progression linked to League of Legends, like 5v5 and ARAM and stuff like that. And if you're playing like Teamfight Tactics, which is on the same Riot Game client, you get a progression that is not the same. So I'm not sure Sorare coins should be exchangeable between sports, and I feel like there should be a club shop for every sport. So that's where I'm at, but I could be proven wrong, or I don't have like a strong opinion on that, but I feel like there are different games, so you should have different progression.
I think the hardest thing will just be figuring out how many, like in an equal way amongst the sports to earn coins. Like if it's so much easier to earn coins with football than those who play NBA will see all of the things in the club shop that they could get just being scooped up by football players, which that's just not a great experience itself. So
I think that's why they have to split between sports.
Yeah. Do you think?
So Andrew, go ahead.
I don't actually want to ask the question.
Okay, so maybe you'll ask it later. But so I think like one of also the objectives of like SorareData office hours is show like what we've done recently, and we have been doing some stuff recently, and so maybe we can take a look at like the lineup builder. The stuff has been changed recently, and so especially with the pick score being like a huge change for us, and I feel like the pick score is something that is very interesting for a lot of players that are not like familiar with all the players of their gallery or don't have the time to research as much as they would want to. And so right now, if you like look at the pick score and you like hover on it, for example, if you hover on Armani, you can see what's behind the pick score. It's like, so Armani doesn't look like have like a great scoring history. So it's based on the competition and on the home away side. But other than that, like it's like form is like, okay, he's playing every time. Matchup, it's really good matchup because like 55 opponent score is really good. And odds is like based on the win percentage, but obviously for goalkeepers, the clean sheet percentage. And the projected lineup is whether the community thinks he's going to start or not. So that provides a bit more context on whether you should pick that that player or not. So I'm encouraging everyone that is like that is willing to step
You have
up
much
their
better
game.
cards than me, so I'm just going to pull yours up.
Yeah, okay. So Jonathan is saying, sorry if I mispronounce it in the chat. Is there no way to filter the players by the percentage the community gives them to start? So you can filter based on the status, but if you click on filters, for example, Andrew, but I don't think you can do like the percentage. That's something we're going to look at.
Yeah, it's
If
more
you
just a
have,
reliability factor.
yeah. If you have like any kind of like support question or bug that you wish to report, and I see Rui that is asking that in the chat, please use the support@soraredata.com email address and please send that report to it. And R1 or support guy, and also SRR1 on Sorare, so someone that knows his stuff
I should have pulled his gallery
will
up.
be
Yeah.
very yeah. Also, you will be very happy to answer. So
It's a lot
and
of triple A's
SR
here.
Monkey, lots of triple A's, but I feel like Mitoma is probably a solid starter here. I hate Carles Riel.
Wow.
Okay, I've said it.
Wow.
No. I mean, I watched the New England Revolution game this weekend. It was the most horrible like experience in my life. So have you seen like no, but first the stadium is like 20% full, so it's a disgrace.
So I mean,
And
it's way too big for a Major League Soccer team. It's where
no,
the
but it's
Patriots
like,
play.
I mean, come on, at least put banners on some seats to look like, to make it look like better. I mean, it's wow.
It was
And I
it was
guess
really
like
bad.
I watch I watch every Nantes game, so I can say that I'm not used to like high level football, like, but I mean the MLS is something. I gotta tell you, and I've told that to R1, and R1 told me even G League is better. So you guys have like a lot of work to do.
I don't think
So yeah.
anybody's comparing Major League Soccer to Ligue 1, even the bottom of it.
And so but yeah, something that I want to say is that I feel like I'm going to be a St. Louis fan because the stadium was like packed, and I feel like it's the it's a great story to be in. And I feel like also the fact that Andy is a St. Louis like citizen, or I don't know how you would say it, but I'm kind of like want to have that common ground with Andy.
I will say that
can we talk?
when it comes to, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to stand here and be an MLS stan completely, but there are certain teams that don't have their own stadiums, and so they have to play in different ones. And the Revolution are one of them. They shouldn't play there, but they do. It's where it's an 80,000 seat stadium that nobody would ever, like, no MLS team is filling that. And Dan Bramlett comes in here. He's a Charlotte supporter. They have the record or some 67,000 to watch one of their games or whatever it is. But
That's huge.
St. Louis has one home, like that was their first home match ever in this new stadium. And so naturally it's going to be an exciting time for everybody. They won.
Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, it's some of the MLS viewing experiences. New York City FC is one of them, is awful.
So no, but can we talk about like oh my God. So what were the odds of like a Violet winning against Austin, right? I mean, I think like they were like 80% favorite, like
Probably,
Austin
yeah.
or something like that.
So,
and I'm like, okay, so we didn't have like the matchup for Violet because they didn't play any covered Sorare games. So the pick score was not really that good for Austin players, but still I had Nick Lima, and Nick Lima is a pretty good defender. And I was like, okay, let's play him. And they lost 3-0.
yeah.
Did they throw the game intentionally, or am I missing something?
So CONCACAF Champions League is very weird for MLS because it's it's basically the knockout rounds of the Champions League right at the beginning of the season. And so some teams rotate heavily because they don't want to ruin their regular, the league, domestic league form. We saw kind of what happened last year with the opposite, that the Seattle Sounders took it very seriously, and then they were terrible in the league. They did win the Champions League. And I think a lot of teams, particularly when they have to fly to either to one of the Central American countries, that game against Austin was in the Dominican Republic. There was a dog that ran on the field.
Blah.
There are lots of
excuses.
Yeah.
Excuses.
No, they should win.
Excuses,
they absolutely should win. And sometimes it just, CONCACAF gets really stupid. And last night was a stupid night for CONCACAF.
No, so I played Buanga for LAFC against I don't know what team, like in Peru or whatever. I don't know what team. No, it's not Peru. I don't think so. Or, I don't know. I'm not
Last
like
night?
No, they play on Friday, and Buanga didn't have like a good big score because we didn't have like the odds for the game. I don't think they are ready still. I'm not sure, but I'm like. I'm really worried. I played like Buanga Super Rare in All Star Rare Pro, and I'm like, not liking this. But yeah, I mean, CONCACAF definitely not something I'm going to play again anytime soon. But I mean, or maybe I feel like on the so they have like another game against Violet, right? But at Austin that time, right?
Yeah.
They're going to crush them. I mean, they have to. I mean, get some dignity. I mean, losing 3-0 against a night, and I mean, I respect Asian football and stuff like that, but they didn't play professional football like for, I don't know, like a year or something, like 9 months, and you're losing 3-0. I mean, come on. It's like,
yeah, it's, I don't know what to tell you.
And I didn't, they rotated, but I didn't feel like they like. So Lima was playing, Urruti was playing, who looks like a decent football player. I mean, like, still, if you rotate, you should be able to win that game, or at least draw the game, or not lose by a 3 goals margin or whatever. So yeah,
this is what happened.
Just like going back,
Philadelphia played last night also, and this is what happened during the game.
Yeah, but to me, it's like I'm okay with that. It's fun. At least it's not a naked striker. You get
Hopefully
those in Europe.
Here.
No. Yeah, and going back to the lineup builder, please. Something that is I don't know if you guys mentioned it, but something that is really important, I think, is that the opponent score has changed, but like, it's been a month or something. But really, like, it's now taking the position, like the field position for the player. So you see that Carles Hill is a central attacking midfielder, and so it's the opponent score for the central attacking midfielder that is available in the opponent score. And when he's playing at different position, it's like an average, but like a weighted average of like how many times he played that central attacking midfielder and how many times he played that right attacking midfielder. So yeah, I use also the table legend, something that is pretty unique for that website, because like it's the first time we've done something like that elaborated for our legend table.
I will say that we've gotten lots of questions about this. Like, understandably, this is like a pretty complex tool. Yep. And this table legend right here will be able to answer like 95% of the questions that anyone has. Yes. And it's for each tab in here. So there was a lot of time and effort that went into making these. And so just use them.
Yeah. Definitely. And so that's why we introduced the pick score, because I felt like we needed like kind of, so why is it like a letter score and not like a number? It's pretty simple. It's because like it's too complicated to actually project accurately Sorare scores for many reasons. But one of the main reasons is that the matrix makes it so difficult, because a goal or a decisive action that is not really easily predictable is going to break the expected score. So we could do like a projected all-around score, and that's something that we do in the background, basically. But the idea is like, we don't want to commit on a projected score because we feel like it's too complicated and also not accurate enough. So what we do is we say, okay, based on like the number of players that are playing this game week, this guy is actually like one of the best. If you're AAA, that means you're in the top 1% of the division, so you're probably like in a good position if you're playing him. But like sometimes you get a AAA player scoring 20, while the other like forward that are playing in the team are getting 80, because sometimes like other people in the team are getting the points when your player is not getting them. But most of the time it's like your player has good chances of scoring because he has a good matchup, because he's in a great form, and because he's going to start, we think. And so also on the lineup projection subject, so obviously we are not at 100% reliability yet, and I don't think we'll reach that number anyway, but we can say we are close to 90%. We are nearly there. So it's pretty accurate. Obviously, sometimes you can't predict like someone getting like injured during the weekend or after the deadline and stuff like that. So that's complicated to predict. But like, if you feel like you are better than the people that are predicting lineups and projecting lineups, make sure you participate to the community projections, because they are big things to win. You can head to our Medium post, to our Medium, SorareData Medium, to check the prize pool, but you can get like T0 limited if you're topping the one league. And if you're good overall, you can get T0 rares, and that's very enjoyable to reward. Like we have rewarded galleries that like have like small, for the people that have small galleries, and I feel like it's so enjoyable for us to reward like people that have knowledge and dedicate time to like actually help the community and get like Sorare cards, really valuable Sorare cards, because of their hard work. And right now, so community projections are monthly, so you get prices every month. And we are going to introduce like different prices for people that don't predict as much as like the big guys do, but also people that like do some accurate predictions, like, but a lower number of them. So yeah, I mean, I'm really happy where we at with the builder right now. I feel like the one thing that is missing, and the guys are working on it, is the lineup suggestion tool. And that's when we have that, the only thing that would be missing is the one button, like the master button that says do all my lineups, and we'll be there. I mean, we'll be there at some point in time. I hope this summer we'll be able to do that, because we're not missing a lot of stuff.
The one thing I wanted to go back to, at least quickly, on the pick score, because I've had a few people ask me why a player's pick score might be different based on the card scarcity or the competition. And the answer is kind of because of exactly what you say, that basically the pick score is dependent on who else is eligible in the competition. So someone like Martin van der Voort, who's a U23 goalkeeper, would most likely have a higher pick score in U23 competitions than All-Star or Challenger, because he's being compared to fewer goalkeepers in U23 competitions than in All-Star and in Challenger. And particularly with the capped competitions, not that it is counter to what we would think, but like players with high L15s, meaning they have a high cost in the cap competitions, tend to get hit in their pick score because of that, because they're not like a great return on their point values. So somebody reached out to me recently the other day, because there was a player who was like an A in All-Star, but like a D in the capped, and it was because his L15 was like 61 or something like that, which is just tough to outperform when it comes to the cap. Not saying that they're a bad play, but like scoring 62 on an L15 of 61 isn't always that helpful for the cap competitions.
Yeah, you're looking at like which player is able to like outperform his L15, and at the end of the day, you're looking at like 5 players that can score their L15 if you reach like 240 in your team, you're looking at like how many players can have like decent shot at getting like 2.5 points or more than their current L15. So that's why if you're at 60, it's going to be difficult to think. It's going to be difficult that um, yeah, Carles Hill still AAA. I think that yeah, maybe some stuff needs to be looked at. But yeah, I guess it's like in that mode, it's a bit different. No, but I mean, Carles Hill is kind of like the up score is so good that it's not that the fact that they might be losing it against LAFC doesn't mean that Carles Hill isn't like an AA machine. And so even if the matchup is not that good, still feels like a decent play.
I wish I liked anything as much as Sean likes Carlos Heel. That's all.
Can we go and check like your SO5 results and show what Sean has been so hyped up about?
I'll go to last weekend, which shows a little more. Would you want to show
So
off
you have a lot of lineups? Congrats. Yeah, the ability to hide lineups, yeah.
Oh, to hide lineups. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't think we have enough time for how many lineups I have to hide. But yeah, so anybody
No,
who hasn't seen this, if this was a popular feature amongst people who don't like to see or have to scroll through a ton of lineups if they had like a DNP or there was just no way to really win a reward. So you can just go and hide them from your list here. Frankly, I should really ask for a hide all lineups, and then I can figure out which ones I actually want to show given my results. But yeah, here it is. And it literally just hides them, and then you can bring them back if you want, or see them below. But yeah, I didn't find this as much as like people love this and have like, I just didn't, I don't know. I guess I was so used to seeing dead lineups that I was perfectly content still scrolling through all of them. But it's here for all of those who want it. And then to get them back, you just go to the hidden lineups and bring back lineup. Simple.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah. One thing is, so I changed microphone. Sorry. Let me try to change. Okay. That's it. So
yeah.
Also the thing is that you're going to hide lineups as the game week progresses,
right.
Obviously. So
yeah, I guess if I just went to
and also it's web only right now. It's going to come to mobile anytime soon. Yeah, and also on mobile, it's probably going to like disable all notifications related to that lineup.
I will say that I went in to check my scores and I knew what this lineup was, and I saw all-star rare 95, and I completely ignored how many players I had left, and I was like, oh, this is great. And it's not great. 95 points from 3 players. Thank you to Austin FC as well for that 3-0 drubbing they had. No week this week. The one thing that there was, where was this? Ekram said about a player comparison tool, which is one that
yes,
I've definitely talked about on stream, and we have talked about internally. It's one of those features that I feel like people are like, yeah, it's really easy. I just want to see like 2 players next to each other. And then in classic SorareData work that we were like, okay, so you actually do you want to see 10 of these 1,000 things that you can compare? Do you want to see 8? How many people do you want to compare? What do you want to compare scores or market and all of this stuff? And it was just like one of those, hey, I have a really simple request, a player comparison, and it's not that simple. But we are, I've seen designs, I'll put it that way.
No, it's definitely something that we want to do. I mean, yeah, there's no question on that. I mean, it's just like a matter of like finding the time to actually do that. I think like we focused a lot on the lineup builder and for great results, but when we are done with the builder, we'll be looking at introducing more stuff. But yeah, definitely something that you want to do, and also like being able to compare two players is fine, but I want also to be able to compare like 3 to 4 players, and why not more players. So, and it takes quite some time to actually think about it and design it. Yeah. Also something I saw. So Ekrem that said, is it possible to see like to have the XJI? I think it's like expected goals.
Yeah.
So I'm opening a Kickstarter account to pay for Opta bills, and if we get to $200,000, we can show expected goals. Now the problem is that we don't get that with our Opta coverage, and Opta is expensive. But one day, I definitely want to do that one day. Cosmo has said, are there plans for a function to export to CSV or anything? Yes, there are plans, but they won't be included in the star membership, and there will be added in higher tier. Mickey Fu says the height feels a bit much with the entire over to take. I would prefer hide the lineup like the CTR. It feels a bit too much, but that's just my opinion. I mean, that's valid feedback. I guess like if we get that feedback a lot, I'll go see my designer and say, hey, do better this time.
I think this was I really love the SO5 results page and how it's designed. I love being able to hide it. One suggestion might be,
but I feel like it's
that was nice. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
But still, I'm using that because it's so like, yeah.
Steven's got a point now. Dead lineups can still give you coins.
Yeah, so you can decide to not hide them. And yeah, we're showing coins, so you can see if you're becoming a coin swirl, as Sean is becoming. I got like 16K coins this week. That's crazy. Even you got more coins than me, right? Like you got like 6,000. I got like 4,000.
Did you?
I mean,
did you make? So I made extra lineups just for coins. It doesn't seem like something you would have done. In fact, I had a hard luck DNP that kept me from 100 more coins that I was actually upset about.
No, but you know, I can't. I can't do that because I don't have a super rare goalkeeper, and that's the only thing that is like. I'm building basically every line. Oh, so you put a super rare goalkeeper in Challenger Europe Rare Pro. That's wow. You're a super rare goalkeeper whale. You're one of them. I mean,
I spent, I think, 0.03 for that card.
Wow. But he's not playing, right?
He's not playing, no.
and he's probably not going to play a single game like ever, right?
Actually, the worst part is that he had one start. He's Lars Unerstall's backup at FC20, and he scored a 69, which totally ruined his L15. Like, I was furious. But he's now 15 games away, so we're good. We're good. He's back to
rooting against your player. It's like,
he's now a 0. I mean, yeah. But I was 8.94 points away from 100 more coins.
And I mean, your players did very bad. I mean, no
Hosseini was an unannounced injury. I think he was 100% on the lineup projection, and then after the game week started, he was
Otic scoring 30. Otic has got to be like the worst Cinderella story on Sorare. Like he was so good at one point, and now he becomes like kind of useless, right?
There is a direct correlation between his drop in points and when I bought him.
Yeah, I mean,
like it's scary how quick he stopped playing well after I bought that card. I have his limited too.
No, so Rui, no, I guess the only thing I can tell you is hit Control F and you might find your username, but there's no like highlighting right now. But we're making some changes to the lineup projections tool as a whole, and we'll be introducing them very soon. So hopefully you won't have troubles finding your results.
Some of the
maybe
stuff that we've talked about for the lineup projection competition they're awesome. Like they're really cool. I think that side game will become like extremely popular and fun because it's
and
fun.
we've seen them with the number of projections every game weekend. It's increasing, and thanks a lot for doing that. And also, like, one thing that we wanted to do is like not rewarding the same persons over and over again, and so you have a limitation of like league rewards you can win. So even if you're not like first in the league leaderboard, if that player has won other rewards in other leagues or in the overall ranking, you're probably going to be eligible for reward. So I mean, try your best, and I guess like if you're focusing on one league only and like doing that well, like you can do that on, I don't know, on the Premiership or stuff like that. You only have to project players that have Sorare cards. So I mean, you can get like a sweet T1 or T0 limited, not easily, but like if you're making the work already, just put it on the website. We'll make sure that it's nice and enjoyable to do that, and then you can improve your gallery that way. So by the way, also Andrew, you can maybe go to the Game Week Center. It's a kind of a hidden feature because we didn't like communicate on it, and we want to do a bit more. But if you go to the Game Week Center for next week, for example, and I don't know, I'm not seeing your screen right there. Yeah. So for next week, or I don't know, maybe maybe this week, like for example, for the PSG game, if you click on it, you will get the projected lineups by the community. So anytime you're trying, like, so obviously there's a mix-up between Fabian Ruiz and Mukiele, but I think you guys get it. And also Cancelo, I think, is not playing as a center back, but it's kind of like difficult to project accurately the position on the field. But anyway, you get the thing. If you go on a next game page, you will see the projected lineup by the community. What else can I say? I don't know. I feel like it's kind of.
There was a comment actually before that I want to touch on about the projected lineups because somebody, where was I'm trying to scroll back here. I think the community prediction is a big problem because people just copy and paste lineups from previous weeks with players that did their ACL. Wouldn't it be better to let every user predict only one league each game week? So first off, like, we're not just necessarily throwing like everyone's projections in. Like if you are somebody that goes in and gets like every projection wrong, we're going to basically not count those as part of the ultimate starting percentage for that player. Like the idea is that the better you are at this, the more weight your vote gets towards everyone looking like that they are going to start. And so there are people who are really bad at this and so, they don't do any research and they just click through, and the less successful they are, the lower their impact will be on the score. I just wanted to point that out. This is fun.
Yeah. So so definitely we're looking at like some improvements at the result, the overall result for projections. But like again, like we're still at a very decent like a 90-ish% of like accuracy, and so we're trying to get those percentage points, getting us closer to. So Wednesday, I don't think like people made a lot of prediction about them. So I don't think we have much data on them. But I think what's important is the Los Angeles lineup. I didn't know Gamboa was playing at Orense.
We have 2 goalkeepers here. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, so I mean, can you go like to the lineup projection stuff? I mean, if you go to the LAFC game.
Yep. Oh,
So I
CONCACAF.
don't understand why, like, yeah. So people like have like 60-42 for John McCarthy. While I've checked and there's basically no reason why Crepo should be playing.
Right.
So
I think
don't
people
know.
just
I
see the
mean,
previous ones and they click that he should be playing.
yeah, I get that. But I think like they don't like no, but that's great, like that's great like UI stuff because like Sorare has inverted like the way you would look at previous games. So before it was like left was older and right was newer, and now it's the other way around. And so that's why you have the date under it, because like for March 4 is like I don't know, 10 days ago or 3 days ago. And
It was
so
last
people
weekend, yeah.
like basically like not looking at that. But like for example, maybe we would just like not show that, because I think like something that is not working well is like people are getting influenced and are not really doing the work, and they're just like based on the previous stats, they're just doing that. So yeah, definitely something that we should look at, and that's why we're going to introduce changes on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of what Sean said here, that if you see like a goalkeeper at 60% to start, or any position, 40% to start, then a quick Google search might help and explain why it's that situation instead of just taking that. Because yeah, 60% is, people just copying.
No, so that means that like 60% of the player, or roughly 60% of the players are like estimating that, like thinking that the right hand game is the most recent one, and 40% are thinking the right hand game is the
It might be as simple as that.
the oldest one. Yeah. So,
despite the dates
I mean,
clearly showing as well.
yeah, but like I mean, if you're doing like a lot of projections and like scrolling over, I don't think like your mind is like really looking at that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I don't blame people. So that's our job, to do a bit better and to make sure that people get the right experience. And that's why, because basically like that's why also we are not like communicating on that, and it's kind of a hidden feature. What I did for the projected lineup you see on the game page is that I'm just taking like the 11 players that have like the highest percentage, and that's it.
Yeah. I got nothing else for today. Is there something else you wanted to show off, or do we save for next week?
No, so
Next one.
one thing I'm going to be working just after this is a pick score page where you will be able to browse pick scores for every division. And so I think that's something that is very important. Like, to me, it's like so cool, for example, for amateur division. I don't think like you're tryharding amateur divisions, but I like having kind of like the best lineup possible. And so I think like for amateur divisions, that can be interesting for like every player. But obviously, like if you're scouting for a fifth player, or I don't know, a full lineup in a division, and you're trying to find like all the player with the right matchup according to us, we'll make sure that you get a nice table with every information that you need, and the pick score.
Yeah, I will point out, where do I have it here? Yeah, the pick scores are available like on the on the market page now, like for the upcoming game
Yes.
week. So if you are,
Yes.
let me show this so if you are looking for a specific player, like we'll have the matchup and the opponent score and also the pick score of that player. So that can help you if you are looking for a player like for this specific upcoming game week. But like you can't filter by just like show me all the AAAs yet. So, but we know that's what some people might be interested in.
Yes, so there is going to be a dedicated page, but like the problem with filters is always like performance issues, and I know that on some filters you have performance issues, and that's like very difficult to solve. But like when you have performance issues about filters, always try to filter by scarcity. It might help. That's a pro tip I'm giving for people having performance issues on filters. So yeah, but definitely we want like to give like more transparency about like pick scores, and also show like the historical pick scores. We don't have a problem by saying like, okay, maybe the pick score was not like that accurate. They didn't score a lot while it was a AAA, but there are like tons of explanations about that. So please use pick scores like with a grain of salt. And I've seen some streamers like respecting the pick score and using that as like a tiebreaker. And I think like overall it should be used as such. It's like, okay, still use your instinct to pick player, and not having like a full AAA lineup or a full AA or full A lineup isn't necessarily bad. And sometimes you can also dig a bit further and like find some jewels that Clément, our football officer, our chief football officer, has not automatically classed as gems for that game week.
I did have a 5-player AAA lineup a couple game weeks ago, and I have to say there's like an added confidence that you go in when you see that. It's nice.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you to everybody for joining us. If you guys have not hit the like button, if you could please do so. We've got like twice as many people watching right now as have actually liked the video. So please go in and do that. I can't make the excuse that my boss is going to see this and rate me on it because he's here. But yeah, please like the video, comment below, do all that good stuff. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. And you've seen kind of like what we like to discuss on this show. So if there's anything else you want us to touch on for the next one, just reach out to me at Andrew M. Laird on Twitter. Don't go to Maxime because he'll just send it to me anyway. So do that. So anyway, yeah. Thank you, everyone. Maxime, I'll talk to you later.